there lies a world parallel to our own. Its people driven by traditions so anabolic, nobody remembers why they started. People like the Iron Monks, who began a lift long ago and are awaiting further instruction. The Tendon Priests, who bless the injured and advise them to train regardless. Archivists of the PR, who preserve the realm's memory by agreeing on what to forget. But there is an older tale even they do not share. It is written, the Nattyverse was formed when a celestial being known as the Formless One squatted a misloaded barbell and tore his ACL. But it also tore the fabric between worlds. Your world chose safety, comfort. Gymculture was domesticated. But the Nattyverse chose differently. They chose strength, intensity. Their year was divided into bulks, cuts, and the rehabilitation of injuries they refused to accept. It is said the barbell from the Great Misload still exists, and it judges lifters from both worlds, silently. I feel it in the warm-up.
Should have gone lighter.
I hear it in the joints.
That was the good shoulder.
I smell it. In the tren.
The acne's not cleared up.
The king of Massvale has been poisoned. His royal pre-workout was laced with the deadliest substance known to man. Decaf. Stripped of caffeine and nitric oxide, King Gainsboom slipped into a coma. His pump faded, and the kingdom wept. The realm's healers tried everything. Smelling salts from a forgotten federation, ancient breathing techniques which only made him more relaxed, and a triple scoop from the stim lords of the West. Nothing. Not even a calf cramp. But Prince Parvel, ectomorph by birth, optimist by necessity, believed the answer to healing his father lay in the Iron Archives, where every PR in the history of Massvale was recorded and immediately forgotten. Beneath scrolls of failed cycles and tablets listing numbers no one would ever hit again, he and his companions missed meals and skipped leg days, searching for a cure. It was there they discovered the ring-bound, underground cave fighters feared across the Nattyverse, not for how they fought, but for how often they fought each other. Their most prized relic was the Fist of First Contact, a boxing glove so old it had been worn by 10,000 men. Legends claim it once caused 3 concussed fighters to vomit themselves back into consciousness. If anything could wake the king, it was that. The choice was made. Razor and Bulkanen would find the ring-bound and retrieve the fist, but Parvel would stay behind. For Massvale needed a ruler, now more than ever, with rumors spreading that the Yoga-Kai had been sighted, and that the Cold War of passive aggression might soon escalate into open eye contact. And thus one lifter sat upon a throne, heavy with responsibility, while 2 others walked into the vastness of the Nattyverse toward old violence and new mistakes. When King Gainsboom ran out of caffeine and lapsed into a coma, only one thing could revive him: the Fist of First Contact. It was said, the smell alone caused 3 referees to collapse and 1 judge to quit fighting entirely. Now it was the most sacred relic of the ring-bound, underground cave fighters who had abandoned society because they preferred violence to conversation. Presiding over it all was the Lord of the Ring. Razor and Bulkanen, gym-born lifters who had vowed to save the king, expected a tyrant, a warlord, a creature sculpted entirely from ligament damage. But instead, they found Master Slowden. It was said he moved so slowly, his last 4 opponents died of boredom. As their custom, anyone may challenge the Lord and take his place, and so Bulkanen bravely volunteered. Razor. Razor prepared the only way he knew. He dry-scooped pre-workout. No water, no shame. Meanwhile, Bulkanen enacted what he later described as a flawless plan, forged through years of powerlifting and limited mobility. As the fight started, Master Slowden began his 47-step kata. thought to last 3 to 4 business days. Breathing, swaying, like seaweed. The fist of first contact rested in its glass case, radiating power and bacteria. But centuries-old stone was no match for a winter bulk. The fall was heard throughout the realm. A state of emergency was declared, allowing Razor to escape, grateful that destiny once again had cancelled Cardio. The smell should have been fatal, but Bulkannon's nostrils, long destroyed through years of smelling salt abuse, had not functioned since the rotator cuff wars. He placed the fist gently into his duffel bag, next to his chalk and a half-eaten protein bar. And thus he walked into legend, having insulted an entire civilization. There once lived a donkey named Steve, a beast of burden and lower back issues. Steve had witnessed many things, and moved with the patience of an animal who had seen too much soft tissue work, and not enough outcomes. He pulled a rolling massage table, carrying the most questionable physio in the Nattyverse. Dr. Flexius Menswell's purpose was to heal the world, one unsuspecting village at a time. At dusk they saw him, a gymlet. It spoke in fragments, buzzwords. Bro said it was optimal. 6-7, 6-7. Things neither Flexius or Steve could understand. The gymlet was suffering from a scroll thumb rupture, sustained while attempting to swipe through 4 training philosophies, 3 contradictory diet plans, and a 30-second motivational rune. Flexius declared it was a hip problem, and the thumb was blamed for compensating. He applied ice, then heat, then ice again, to confuse the inflammation. By nightfall, the gymlet had lost feeling in his limbs, but no longer felt pain. By morning, whispers of a great healer had reached Prince Parvel, who hoped Flexius's talents could save his father, who suffered from acute caffeine deprivation. Menswell accepted the invitation, but arrived late, as Steve needed stretching. Parvel was then called to preside over Massvale's grunting ceremony, where citizens gathered to perform lifts far beyond their ability, fail them publicly, and blame genetics. But the leader of the Yogakai, Karen Atra, had had enough. For years, her people had endured the clanging of plates, the chalk clouds drifting upon the wind like pollution, and one man who screamed, "Lightweight!" every time he stood up. Karanatra, having sent 3 strongly worded letters, resorted to stronger measures. Trade routes were blocked, caravans halted, and protein stopped flowing. The way riots had begun. The king's ectomorphic son, Prince Parvel, who had been on a bulk since childhood, presides over Massvale's darkest hour. The tubs were empty, the scoops were dry, and in locker rooms across the land, grown men stared into nothing. Hope faded with every unblended oat. One man clutched his lifting belt like a fallen comrade. Another attempted a push-up and simply lay there, remembering who he used to be. And Prince Parvel wondered, what curse could silence the scoops? What monster would choke the land of protein? What villain would weaponize nutrition? Karen Atra, leader of the Yogakai, was angry that her silent sanctuaries of eucalyptus and self-forgiveness echoed with the clanging of plates, and one man who screamed, "Yeah, buddy!" every time he stood up. Yoga mats were sharpened, battle incense were lit, and trade routes blocked. But Massvale's king had fallen to acute caffeine deprivation. Dr. Menswell tried everything. The application of frozen peas, red light therapy powered by a suspicious crystal, and placing a dumbbell gently in the king's palm, in case instinct took over. Nothing. Not even a half rep. Now, Massvale's hopes lay upon the slender shoulders of Prince Parvel, already operating on emergency calories. At dawn, he met Karanatra. She stood calm, passive-aggressive beyond mortal comprehension, arms crossed in a way that suggested she had read the terms and conditions. It was decided. Deadlift screams before 6 a.m. were prohibited. The man who screamed, "Yeah, buddy!" before every set was sentenced to yoga, twice a week, and Massvale would make a monthly donation to the Yoga Kai's retreat fund. And thus, whey flowed through Massvale like a mildly overpriced river of vanilla, but at a terrible price. And Parvel learned, ruling a kingdom is very much like leg day. No one enjoys it. Everyone complains about it. But you're expected to do it again next week. I feel it in the pump.
It fades too fast.
I see it in the mirror.
Was I always this small?
I smell it in the shakers.
Has this expired?
This is the tragedy of King Gainsbum of Massvale, first of his name, protector of the pump, sovereign of the 7 squat racks. He ruled with symmetry. He governed with volume. He believed in progressive overload, and very little else. But even the greatest of monarchs can be tested. Obel Vance, the first unnatural natural, offered unto him the Master-Roid, a compound that made the phrase "trust the process" unnecessary. But the king refused, for he believed if one could not build it with chicken, rice, and existential rage, then one did not deserve to keep it. Obel departed with the calmness of a man who had already scheduled his comeback. Years passed, and a young man appeared in court named Titanicus. He impressed the king by warming up properly, by re-racking without being asked. Wiped down a bench after a PR. The king, moved beyond reason, adopted him, while his true-born son, Prince Parvel, ectomorph by birth, breaker of blender blades, and who struggled to open pickle jars without assistance, was placed gently to one side of history. But Titanicus was the son of Obel Vance, sent to unbalance the plates of power. He laced the royal pre-workout with decaf, and without 300 milligrams of caffeine storming through his veins, King Gainsbum lapsed into a coma. Titanicus fled, leaving Prince Parvel, currently in week 741 of a lean bulk, to rule Massvale alone. There are many forms of suffering in this world: betrayal, loss, and incline walking. Their journey was long, steep, unnecessarily vertical, 12% incline, no handrails. Razor and Balkanon had stolen the one relic thought to be strong enough to wake King Gainsbum, who had lapsed into a coma due to a caffeine shortage, and now lay in Balkanon's duffel bag. Back in Massvale, Dr. Menswell had tried everything to heal the king. Aromatherapy sourced from expired pre-workout tubs, cold plunges performed in what had once been the castle moat. They had even waved a freshly signed gym contract beneath his nose. Prince Parvel looked on, already calculating how many meals he would miss if forced to rule. And as hope thinned like a cutting phase in winter, Razor and Balkanon entered triumphant and slightly winded. They brought for the king a boxing glove so old it was described in banned MMA memoirs as the reason weigh-ins were held outdoors. But the king did not wake. On the outskirts of Massvale, a gymlet approached a leg press, 8 plates aside, a number selected for reasons known only to ego and poor frontal lobe development. Then, distracted by a reflective surface, he left, all 8 plates, unracked. The disturbance spread. A squat rack in the north began listing slightly to the left. A personal trainer sensed it but blamed gluten. Deep within his unconscious mind, the king felt it. The plates abandoned. The Massvale code of conduct violated. Across dimensions, a single thought echoed through his dormant nervous system. Who left the plates? He rose with supernatural urgency, traversed the kingdom, and taught the gymlet that etiquette is not optional, and corrected his form at the same time. Word spread like spilled pre-workout. The Massvale marching band was assembled, the ode to progressive overload was played, and as confetti cannons fired shredded meal plans into the air, Prince Pavel finally understood the truth. Massvale did not need caffeine to survive. It needed standards. At the inn of the prancing powerlifter, a sanctuary for the sore and the overtrained, Brogan and his companions had remained for weeks. Arnie was locked in a dispute with the tavern's bench press. Sylvester debated the fiber content of lentils with a man he'd only just met, and Pyra had claimed the tavern's squat rack for 3 days. Among the clatter of plates and the scent of creatine, Brogan noticed him. A gymlet. He was known as Trenson and was already on his 4th pre-workout of the morning. Rumors had followed him across the desert, that he alone knew who had brought about the avocado famine. At first he resisted, for the truth was heavy. But pre-workout loosens the tongue. And under the watchful gaze of the tavern, Trenson recounted his story. In the city of eternal reflection, where the lighting is half natty, and every follower a servant. Queen Vanera, the most followed force in all the Nattyverse, had discovered a truth whispered in skincare scrolls and influencer scripture alike. The avocado was anti-aging, and Vanera understood one terrible law. Youth is engagement. And so she bathed in them, worshipped them, consumed them in ways no mortal should. Such was the cost of eternal relevance. Brogan rose, for he knew what must be done. The avocado was never merely a fruit. It was the quiet guardian of the meal plan, the green shield between man and dry toast. Without it, salads would wither, and cutting seasons would be doomed to failure. No, such tyranny could not stand. Brogan and his companions would reclaim the avocados. It was likely they would never return, for the road was long and full of saturated fats. There is a place where barbells gleam in colors unknown to nature, and shelves groan beneath concoctions that whisper, just one more cycle, a world of pure optimization. The inventor of these over-engineered substances was a man named Dr. Peptis Tide. Legends say the idea first came to him as a child, when he tore his hamstring during a warm-up set, and as he lay upon the rubber floor, staring into the abyss, wondering how many days of squats he would be forced to miss. A single thought came to him. What if he optimized recovery itself? For years he tinkered, he refined, he meddled in places where meddling was neither welcome nor medically advised, and somewhere between his 3rd spreadsheet and his 6th blood panel, he snapped. Dr. Peptis Tide has not been seen outside his factory for 10 years, but now word spread that the inventor had recovered, and within his factory he had placed 3 golden scoops inside protein tubs and sent them out into the Nattyverse. Whoever found one would be granted entry to the peptide factory and receive a reward beyond progressive overload. Meanwhile, tragedy had struck Razor in the form of a torn rotator cuff. The great healer Flexius Menswell had prescribed frozen peas, aggressive optimism, and something called rest. And thus, he was drowning his sorrows in unflavored whey when he noticed one of the golden scoops. It belonged to a titan of the gym, a man last seen explaining the side effects of tren as temporary before becoming permanently horizontal. The scoop bore a message. Razor did not trust promises. He trusted weight, iron, and occasionally chicken, but the temptation of benching again within the week was difficult to ignore, and for the first time, Razor contemplated chemical assistance. This is the tragedy of Dr. Peptis Tide and his beloved peptide factory of pure optimization. Before its gates stood 4 souls, each clutching the golden scoop they had found at the bottom of a protein tub. First there was Burke, A powerlifter so magnificently stupid, he possessed more injuries than he did thoughts. His elbows clicked in Morse code, and his right shoulder had not rotated properly since autumn. Kayla, who had been shredding for so long, she no longer remembered why she started, only that somewhere, beneath one final layer of water retention, lay happiness. Then there was Algos, who believed with enough spreadsheets and unnecessarily expensive supplements, he would achieve perfection. And Razor, who simply wished to bench again by Thursday. Dr. Peptis Tide, eyes shimmering with calculated madness, appeared and led them deeper into the factory, until they reached a paradise of recovery. Rivers of regenerative serum flowed endlessly, and peptide gummies promised to reverse damage caused by years of ego lifting. Burke did not hesitate, for he had never hesitated. He devoured the gummies, and for one brief, merciful moment, he remembered what it was like not to hurt. It is said there exists a law older than iron itself. Any lifter newly freed from pain will always return to the thing that caused it. He ran like a man towards destiny and discount codes, towards the barbell that had mocked him for years. But the peptide gummies he'd consumed betrayed him. His muscles healed faster than they could align, until at last he achieved permanent tension, frozen forever in the shape of someone about to begin a deadlift. But then came the calm footsteps of men who had long since accepted most people were idiots. The Synthlings, optimized, mildly judgmental, and suspiciously jacked, they carried Burke away, still flexing, still cramping, and still, somehow, asking for ammonia salts. In a factory devoted to pure optimization, the Synthlings toiled endlessly, creating peptides for everything, from growing the left calf by half an inch to correcting the tragedy of one pec being slightly bigger than the other. But now they watched Dr. Peptis Tide take this week's winners of the Golden Scoops to their doom. Before them lay a hall of mirrors. It is said the curse of body dysmorphia ran strong here, and many a lifter had gone mad, gazing upon their true form. A peptide was offered, designed to improve exactly what one believed was missing. And Kayla, who had been prepping for the past 9 years, took the vial without question. But the result never felt enough. So she drank deeper, and in the mirror, she was leaner, drier, tighter, closer to whatever it was she believed she was chasing, until she disappeared into the legendary dimension known as absolute definition, and vanished into stage-ready oblivion. And thus, she removed and removed until there was nothing left to improve. And 3 became 2.